I crush out my cigarette and watch the smoke drift up to the wobbly, creaky fan on the ceiling of my office. Even at 3 a.m., the heat and humidity hasn't let up and the blades are just stirring the thick air around. It's been over a month since my last case, a simple missing person job that turned into a hunt for a scientist on the NSA's most wanted list, a bunch of Chinese puzzle boxes and a UFO. All the danger and excitement I could eat, plus I got paid. Got a small job coming up, a stakeout, outside a steakhouse, ironically enough. But nothing else on the docket other than playing solitaire parcheesi, alphabetizing my album collection, and trying not to drink. A little danger is starting to sound pretty good. I wander across the room to the large windows that overlook Chandler Avenue. They're propped open and drawing in a whisper of a breeze. The fresh air feels good and smells even better, with the delightful aromas of Louis Lemitz's home cooking wafting up the street from the Bruin stew. I haven't eaten all day and my stomach growls at me. I check my watch and decide I can tough it out for a couple more hours. Down on the street, Chelsea's newsstand is locked up for the night. Not that she'd want to talk to me anyway. She recently decided to date a hologram rather than go out with me. Talk about a virtual kick in the cojones. In the weeks since, our few conversations have consisted of hi, bye, any idea when the new True Detective will get here, and now you have to pay for that. I lean into the window frame and look out across the rooftops toward downtown. The night sky is illuminated by a gigantic glowing orb, but it isn't the moon. It's a massive hologram of a golden Fabergé egg, projected from the Moscone Center and slowly rotating. The grail-shaped beacon is there to attract visitors to the Treasure of the Tsars, an exhibit of rare items that once belonged to the Imperial House of Russia. The egg was unveiled with great fanfare a few nights back and will be on display along with the exhibit for the next month or so. Like pretty much everyone else, Fabergé eggs have always intrigued me. Unfortunately, the admission to the exhibit isn't free and I can't be sure when I'll get paid again, so I'll have to keep my priorities straight. Cigarettes, food and rent, in that order. Speaking of which, I'm turning away from the window to round up my pack of llamas when I hear a knock at the door. I turn off the music, then grab a can of Febreze and take a quick lap around the room, spraying the perimeter. With visions of a sugar plum client dancing in my head, I take a last quick look around the office to make sure everything else is more or less in order, then cross to the door and open it. When I see who it is, I experience a strange sensation, half thrilled, half disappointed, like matter and antimatter coming together, instantly annihilating my hopes of a paying job at creating a tiny wormhole of romantic possibilities. The woman extends her hand.
You must be Tex Murphy. I'm Chelsea Bando, and I'd like to hire you.
Chelsea has never been in my office outside of my imagination. I shake her hand awkwardly, then invite her in. She takes a seat in one of the two guest chairs across the desk from me.
How much do you charge?
For you? That's negotiable.
Oh, it isn't for me. It's for my friend.
I sit back and study her lovely face. Light, sparkling eyes that can be blue, gray, or green depending on her mood. Nice bones and a fair, flawless complexion framed by shoulder-length blonde hair. She's been toying with my emotions since the day we met. Now she's pretending to be an unacquainted prospective client, not someone I've been intimate enough with to let pry open my ribs and punch me in the aorta. Whatever this new game is, I'm pretty sure I'll lose, and apparently it's my turn to play. So, you're a liaison? Who's the friend?
If you don't mind, I'll let her introduce herself.
I shrug. Chelsea pulls a phone out of her purse and sends a quick text. After a few seconds, her phone chirps. She reads her friend's reply.
Do you mind if she checks out your office?
Sure. This is all very mysterious and confusing. Typical of most of my dealings with Chelsea. She reaches back into her purse, pulls out something resembling a small black insect, then leans forward and sets the thing on the floor. Curious, I stand up and peer over my desk for a better look. I'm not sure if this is my client, but I've been hired by cockroaches and parasites in the past, so I can't rule it out. The insect starts buzzing, then elevates straight up until it's at eye level. A drone, I realize. The smallest one I've ever seen. It rotates, then flies towards one of the walls and begins a slow circuit of the room. A minute later, the drone returns to the edge of my desk and lands. A figure suddenly materializes in the guest chair next to Chelsea, as if Scotty just beamed her down from the Enterprise. It's a woman, and she's a knockout. Not unlike Rita Hayworth in her prime, with wavy auburn hair and a pleasant open face. High cheekbones, heavy-lidded eyes with long dark lashes, pale skin, and wearing bright red lipstick. I've seen a few holograms before, but never anything like this. It's being projected from the drone, but the woman looks uncannily real, almost tangible, even this close. The woman fixes her eyes in my general direction and smiles.
It's nice to meet you, Mr. Murphy. My name is Angela Perry. I appreciate you indulging me. I'm sorry I couldn't be here in person.
Nice to meet you too, Ms. Perry. So how do you and Chelsea know each other? Or would you rather fast forward through the small talk and get right down to business? Ms. Perry glances over at Chelsea and smiles.
You're right. I do like him.
Well, apparently I've been the subject of girl talk. At least it seems like Chelsea's given me a fairly positive review. Somewhat surprising given our recent history. Ms. Perry turns back to me.
I teach at Stanford, and Chelsea took one of my courses. It turns out we have some shared interests, and that's how we became friends.
So what is it I can do for you, Ms. Perry? Or should I call you Professor Perry?
How about just Angela? I need to locate someone. Two someones, actually. Chelsea tells me that's right up your alley.
I opened my notebook, the kind made of paper that you write on with a pen. Names?
Igor and Irina Morozov.
Professor Perry is nice enough to provide the spellings without making me ask, then goes on to describe the situation.
In addition to my position at Stanford, I work with the Museum of Cryptology in Santa Cruz. Earlier this year, I was contacted there by the Morozovs, a brother and sister from Chelyabinsk, Russia.
I nod and pretend to write the name of the city.
They recently inherited some possessions belonging to their grandfather. Among them was a collection of old typewritten documents containing rows and columns of seemingly random letters.
Perry turns in her seat and reaches for something. When she turns back, a large photograph has magically appeared in her hands, like she's pulled it out of thin air. The photo shows what looks like an old-fashioned typewriter in a wooden box.
Are you familiar with this device?
A typewriter?
It's an Enigma machine.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. It's a total mystery to me how anyone can type without looking at the keys. But we can discuss my poor typing skills later. Angela, you were saying?
You two are adorable. Anyway, the Enigma was an electromechanical rotor cipher machine invented by the Germans in the early 20th century. The Nazis used it to encipher and decipher coded messages during World War II. After doing some research, the Morozovs correctly determined that the documents they'd inherited were coded Enigma machine messages.
Interesting.
Actually, Enigma papers aren't that interesting in and of themselves. There are thousands still in circulation, some more interesting than others, depending on their deciphered contents, or who sent or received them.
And the Morozovs' Enigma papers are in the interesting category?
They are, primarily because of their provenance. Where they were found originally. These were taken from Adolf Hitler's private bunker. The Morozovs' great-great-grandfather was one of the Russian soldiers who first entered the bunker on May 2nd, 1945. He took the papers from Hitler's personal Enigma machine as war trophies.
So is it the Morozovs you want me to track down, or the papers?
Both. The papers are very important to me, but, of course, I'm concerned for the safety of Igor and Irina.
Their safety? You think they might be in danger?
I have no reason to think they are. But there are certain collectors out there with a taste for the occult.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Nazi memorabilia in particular. And they can be zealous in their pursuit of items like this. I told the Morozovs that they might sell the papers for much more to one of these fanatics, but fortunately, they seemed more comfortable selling them to me. We reached an agreement, and they were coming here to deliver them in person. But it's been 2 days since they arrived, and I haven't heard from them.
Do you have any other information to get me started? Where they might be staying? Photos would be helpful.
I'm sorry, I don't. I can describe what they look like from our video calls, but that's about it. I'm not making this easy on you, am I?
No, but that's why people hire me. Professor Perry takes my cue and asks me what my fee is. It's $600 a day plus expenses, and she agrees to it as if money isn't an issue. My clients always have issues, and I'm fine with that as long as paying me isn't one of them. My new client gives me a description of the siblings, then bids adieu and immediately vanishes. Chelsea collects the drone and slips it back in her purse.
So, what do we do now?
We?
Well, that's part of the deal. I got you the job. Now you get a PI partner.
Oh, Chelsea cocks her head and gives me one of those looks that made me want to roll over and beg for a belly rub. Well, if you're prepared for the danger and excitement of online internet searching, you're welcome to stay.
Well, I'll just leave you to it then. I'll be down at the Bruin Stew for a while if you come up with anything. You do have time to get started on this right away, don't you?
I do, and I don't bother to pretend I don't. Chelsea knows as well as anyone that I rarely have more than one case at a time, usually fewer. My bad business sense and fickle income are probably why she doesn't want to go out with me. It certainly isn't my devastating charm and rugged good looks. I'll get right on it. Give me your number and I'll call you when I get a lead. Wow, a year of relentless pursuit, and this is how I finally get Chelsea's phone number. Now I just need to impress her with my amazing detective skills, and then who knows what might happen. And all I have to do is find 2 Russian needles in a 3.5 million person haystack.